You're listening to the micro version of the Savage Lovecast, www.savagelovecast.com.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
I've gotten a lot of letters over the last week, as you can probably imagine, from people curious about piss play and the president-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, who will later this week become the president of the United States, Donald Trump. What are you doing on Inauguration Day? I am going to be getting high, listening to musicals, and sucking a dick. Those are my plans on Inauguration Day. I don't know about yours, but I'm going to have a media blackout. I almost blacked out this week just reading the thing that everybody read, the dossier prepared by a British spy looking into Donald Trump's and the Trump campaign's connections to Russian intelligence, whether they've been compromised, whether they were colluding with Russian intelligence agencies to throw the election here in the United States. But of course, all anybody wants to talk about is the one thing in that dossier that suggests that perhaps the Russian intelligence agencies have a videotape of Donald Trump in a hotel suite that had been previously occupied by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, where he paid some prostitutes to urinate all over the bed. And so, pee hookers, as they said on Wonket, pee hookers. Let's talk about the pee hookers. So I've been getting a lot of questions, someone in my position would, about Donald Trump and whether he has a piss fetish. Donald Trump, at his first press conference as president-elect, denied that this was even possible, that he would ever do something like this. If you had told me 2 years ago that the president-elect of the United States in 2016 would have to, at a press conference shortly before their inauguration, deny being into piss play, I would not have believed you. But here we are. Play the tape.
Does anyone really believe that story? I'm also very much of a germo-phobe, by the way. Believe me.
One of the people who wrote to me about the president-elect and piss play said, in this rare case, is Donald Trump being truthful about his germophobia? Should we conclude that this would make him less likely, his germophobia would make him less likely to be interested in golden showers and water sports? Well, not necessarily. Urine, as everyone knows, is sterile, and that shouldn't be a problem then for a germaphobe. No germs. Urine, sterile. Nancy, what the fuck's going on? Nance?
Hi, this is Mike Pesca, host of The Gist. Yes, that's my theme music. With this message. I mean, I say it every day, but urine is not sterile.
Wait, what?
Yes. Okay. So as soon as I read the dossier, said to myself, well, that shouldn't be a problem even for the germaphobe because urine's sterile. And I was corrected. Urine's not sterile, some guy who called me a cuck on Twitter said.
How could I not know this? I've been writing about people splashing around in urine, even drinking urine for 25 years. How could I not know that it's not sterile?
That's the answer. You've been doing it for 25 years. And I think from what I understand, and this is an article in Smithsonian and other popular publications, but it seems like the very good research on this was done in the year 2014, a team of scientists from Loyola University as a debunker. So this is important for a couple of reasons. For years, we thought it was sterile. It doesn't seem to be that terribly horrible, although, there are chances that some of the microbes, especially if they contact with your dirty, dirty skin, can be bad for you. But remember, in this report, Trump was in that hotel in 2013. So he could have thought that urine was sterile at the time.
But it is incorrect of me now to suggest that urine is sterile. I need to revise all these old columns where I told people to just go ahead and drink.
Yeah, drink up, lift a glass, bottoms up. Oh, wait, that has another connotation too, doesn't it?
Well, I really appreciate you for jumping in and correcting me, Mike. That was really good of you. But I want to wrap it up gist style. So, Mike, urine is sterile. Is this bullshit?
It is bullshit. It might not be the worst fluid to come out of your body, and I shouldn't say worst. We don't judge, but the most filled with microbes.
We don't want to create a hierarchy of bodily fluids here.
But since sterility is a binary, it is not on the sterile side of that binary.
Urine is not sterile. Live and learn. Thank you, Mike. I have been wrong these many years, and you have corrected me, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mike. I stand corrected. Urine, not sterile. But, and sterile, as Mike says, is a binary. Something is sterile or it's not sterile. Now we know, after all these years, that urine is indeed not sterile, but some things are even less not sterile than urine. Urine is pretty sterile enough for all practical purposes. People have more germs and bacteria in their mouths than they do in their piss. I've been Googling around and doing some reading myself just now. So urine, not sterile, but sterile-ish. Perhaps that might pass muster with a germaphobe. Also, arousal trumps disgust. When you think about it, sex is gross. We do a lot of icky things during sex. And how do people do that? How do people do those icky things? You think about kissing the taint of the person sitting next to you on the bus in the morning, and you'd be just grossed out by the thought. Then later that day, later that evening, you're in bed with someone that you like, and kissing their taint is the most delightful thought. Sex researchers in the Netherlands did a study looking into this, and they found that arousal helps people get over the ick factor of sex, that people, when they're aroused, will do things that they wouldn't do when they're not aroused. So urine, not sterile, but sterile-ish. Not necessarily a mood killer for a germaphobe, provided he's in the right mood, provided he is aroused. And of course, that stands to reason. Again, people do all sorts of things in aroused states that would disgust them if they weren't turned on, from swallowing someone else's spit to eating someone else's ass to wallowing in someone else's piss. And saying someone like our president-elect couldn't possibly be into piss because that particular kink doesn't square with a well-known character trait and or aspect of his public persona is like saying a hard-driving male CEO would never pay a dominatrix to tie him up, humiliate him, and shove 24 needles through the head of his cock because he's such a powerful guy. Or saying a feminist woman would never want to have her ass slapped or her hair pulled by a male sex partner. Or saying that an out-and-proud gay man would never want to be called a faggot by the dude fucking his ass. While most powerful CEOs aren't BDSM subs, and most feminists aren't into having their asses slapped and their hair pulled, and most out and proud gay men aren't into being called faggots when they're bottoming, enough of all three are for each to be something of a cliche. Sexual play allows us to transgress. It allows us to transgress against social and sexual norms, against arbitrary and sometimes not so arbitrary taboos, and most compellingly for many of us, it allows us to transgress against our public personas, the person we want others to perceive us as. Being that person, that can be hard work. It can take sustained effort. And the thought of being the opposite, the groveling sub instead of the CEO, the dirty slut, not the righteous feminist, the sniveling faggot, not the proud gay man, that's irresistibly arousing for some. Best practices, people, transgress safely with other consenting adults who enjoy your sexual transgressions just as much as you do. So the fact that someone is a germaphobe, Donald Trump trotting out his famous germophobia, that does not prove that he couldn't possibly be into piss or distinctly unsterile or much less sterile kinks like raunch, or, and I'm really sorry about this mental image, scat for that matter. Someone else wrote in and reminded us, wanted to remind everyone, that Donald Trump reacted with disgust when Hillary Clinton famously, during one of the debates, had to take a bathroom break. And he thought that was just so disgusting, that Hillary Clinton was a human being who might have to go to the bathroom. And this letter writer suggested that that was evidence that perhaps Donald Trump did not have a piss fetish because he was so grossed out by the idea of Hillary Clinton taking a leak. Actually, that doesn't prove it either, because nothing can disgust someone who's into piss or spit or ass more than contemplating the spit, ass, or piss of someone they find repulsive. Donald Trump, if he likes the piss of people that he likes. Doesn't like the piss of someone that he doesn't like, and may find the piss of someone he doesn't like particularly revolting as a concept. A guy who really likes eating his boyfriend's ass is going to recoil at the thought of someone rimming, say, Bill O'Reilly's ass. I'm very sorry for that mental image as well. Coming up on today's show, we've got Angel Padilla from the Indivisible team, and we've got Kurt Eichenwald from Newsweek, and of course, tons of your questions, and lots to distract you from the terrible calamity about to be visited upon our country on Friday, but a little bit on that too, all in today's show. This episode of the Lovecast is brought to you by Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and your own printer. For a special offer, which includes a digital scale and up to $55 worth of free postage, go to Stamps.com and enter SAVAGE. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Boll and Branch, luxury, affordable, fair trade certified sheets. Get $50 off a set of sheets plus free shipping by going to bollandbranch.com and entering SAVAGE. Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron delivers all fresh, high-quality ingredients and recipes you need to create delicious home-cooked meals. Get your first 3 meals for free by going to blueapron.com/savage.
Hi, Mr. Savage. My name's Marco. I'm a long-time listener since my sophomore year of high school, I believe. But now I am a 20-year-old, pretty much closeted college student. And recently, my family's dog of 9.5 years passed away. So she was like my best friend. And I feel really guilty because around 3 years ago, another family member of mine died. And I never described my penny her, and I told her, you're going to see me be open about my sexuality to my family and to my mom especially. Unfortunately, that never happened. I plan on coming out on my last year of community college. So because since I go to community college right now, I get to stay at home and I live with my mom and my siblings. And I know my siblings would be cool with it, but I honestly have no idea how my mom would react to it. And so now, I want to tell my mom about me being gay before June of 2017 because that is her birthday. That is when she would have turned 10. And I have no idea how she's going to react to it. So I want to know, what do you think I should do? Should I wait a little longer, or should I just come out, before June, in March or April of next year? I have no idea. I honestly just want to get it done because I feel so guilty for breaking my promise to my poor little doggy.
First, I want to say that I'm so sorry for the loss of your beloved pet. I'm right there with you. My cat died when I was away at college. Morris, I named him. Of course, all kids my age were naming their cats Morris way back then. And I got him when I was 3 or 4 years old. And when I was in college, he died many, many years later. And I was so grief-stricken, I had to go home. I called my mother and told her to go back to the vet after she called to tell me that they'd had to have him put to sleep and get the body out of the dumpster wherever the vet put it so that I could bury him in our yard, which is what I did when I rushed home. So I understand and can empathize with your grief at the loss of your beloved pet. But let's set that aside and talk about when and how and whether you should come out to your mom. Your dog, when you came out to her, didn't understand what the fuck you were saying. When you said, I promise I'm going to come out to mom before you die, or before, I can't even remember when the promise was pegged exactly, your dog heard rah, 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 and thought, food. Sometime I'm going to get food out of him. He's going to give me some food, right? And your dog loved you, and there's a real bond there, and a bond of affection, but affection and dependence, really, on the part of the dog. And it's a different kind of relationship. So your dog is not up in heaven tapping its paw, wondering why you have not yet come through on this promise that you made her because your dog did not fucking understand a word you goddamn said. Your dog understood attention and affection and food and loved you for all those things, but your dog is not crushed or disappointed right now that you are not yet out to mom. You fulfilled every promise that a human being can make to a pet. You loved him, you loved her, you fed her, you paid attention to her, you cared for her. Every promise that you could come through on, you came through on. Now let yourself go. Set aside the promise you made to your dog. That is not a real fucking timeline when it comes to coming out to your mom. You're 20 years old. You are financially and residentially dependent on your mother right now. And you say that you can't anticipate how she might react to your coming out, which leads me to believe that you have some grounds to fear a negative reaction. You have some grounds to fear being told to move out of your house. You have some grounds to fear being cut off financially, some grounds to fear losing your family's support while you get your education. Don't take that risk. You're 20. You're in community college. You have a year or two to go. You can wait a year or two. Your dog, if I'm wrong about dog heaven and dogs in heaven can understand English and remember every promise that was ever made to them on earth, if I'm wrong about that, your dog up there in dog heaven will understand your predicament and will not resent you for delaying coming out to your mother. Of course, what you're doing with your dog, if I may, is you're projecting onto your dog your desire because you want to be out. But you have to weigh, and anyone in your situation has to weigh, coming out right now versus the risks of being retaliated against by your parent. 40% of homeless teenagers are LGBT kids who came out or were outed to their families and got thrown out. It is a very real risk. That kind of horrible, unloving retaliation is a real risk. So I would urge you to err on the side of waiting a little bit longer, waiting until you're 21 years old, and in the meantime, lining up some support. If you indeed cannot wait until you are done with community college, or done with college to come out to your family and be fully yourself and fully honest, start lining up support if you should come out a year from now and your mother does have a negative reaction and she does retaliate against you, she does throw you out of the house. Line up support now. Talk to friends about your fears. Ask people before you come out to your mother, if the worst should happen, do you have a couch to crash on at their house for a while? Will they help you? Will they support you emotionally? And if need be, will they put you up? Line up that kind of support before you come out to your mother if you think there's a risk. And again, I am very sorry for the loss of your pet. But your pet, wherever she is now, either understands or continues not to understand. It's one or the other.
Hi, Dan. I'm calling for a friend who doesn't happen to listen to the podcast, but she comes to me with relationship advice, and I'm sort of stumped. So the situation is she's been with her boyfriend for 2 years now, and he has done this thing every winter. This will be the second time this winter, where he cannot have sex with her. He loses all his libido. He doesn't have any desire to masturbate, to touch her, to have any sexual contact with her. And it's not like this at all during the rest of the year. And it happened last year, and we thought maybe it was just a phase. And once spring had come, he's totally back in it, amazing sex all the time, she said. And then we thought it was good. So then, come this last few weeks, it's happening again. And she says, actually, that they haven't had sex since October. And he's a really great guy. I met him. He's really sweet, and they go well together. But, I could not just not have sex for the entire winter every year of my life. And she's just really stuck because she doesn't know if she wants to stay with him because he's great, and they do have a great relationship other than this one thing. But I say leave because I wouldn't be able to deal with this forever. But she's really torn about it because she loves him, and I don't blame her. So if you have any advice about what to do with seasonal, I guess, not depression, but anti-sexuality during these winter months, that would be great to hear what I should tell her because, I don't know.
Well, your friend who doesn't listen to the Savage Lovecast, which you can fix, you can get her to listen to the Savage Lovecast. Everybody should get everybody they know to listen to the Savage Lovecast. If she had called me, what I would ask her is this a price of admission that you're willing to pay? Have a conversation with the boyfriend. Is this just an established fact about his life and there is no altering this? He has some sort of seasonal affective or seasonal asexuality disorder. He's sad every year in the winter and libidoless, and there isn't a trauma at the bottom of this. There's nothing that he can do about it, and it's nothing that he's particularly interested in working on. It's just the way it is. I would then ask your friend, is this price of admission you're willing to pay? Are you willing to have months every year, at least 2 months, maybe 3 months, where you masturbate a lot, where there's still intimacy, there's still connection, but there isn't PIV, there isn't PIM, there isn't PIA, there isn't pegging his ass either. There's just a lot of, hopefully still, in the absence of his libido, affection. If that's the case, and that is a price of admission to be in this relationship that your friend is willing to pay, then you need to take a seat, call her, and let her pay that price of admission. If, however, she's miserable, and you're coming to me to ask this question because she has now, for the second year in a row, come to you to ask about this situation and is distraught and upset and frustrated, then it may not be a price of admission that she is willing to pay. And if it's not a price of admission that she is willing to pay, she needs to end this relationship. There's one important thing you can do to help ensure having a good day, and that's getting a good night's sleep the night before. One company has set out to make this possible. It is Boll and Branch. They've reinvented sheets and bedding with the sole purpose of making your nights more comfortable than ever. This is a company I want you to discover. Their bedding is so soft, it will be a new standard of comfort that you'll measure everything else by. You can only get these products at one place, bollandbranch.com, where you know you're paying for quality sheets and not department store overhead. You're getting amazingly luxurious sheets for a couple of $100. Go online to Boll, that's Boll, and branch.com, and they'll let you try their sheets risk-free for 30 nights. And it gets even better. Go to bollandbranch.com today for 20% off your entire order. Sheets, towels, blankets, duvet covers, everything, plus free shipping. And all their products come beautifully packaged in their signature boxes. Go to bollandbranch.com today for 20% off your entire order and use promo code SAVAGE. bollandbranch.com, promo code SAVAGE.
Hey, I am a young 24-year-old female. I recently was living in a different country, in Spain, and there I got a civil union with a wonderful guy who I love a lot, and I still love. About 7 months ago, I left the country to move back to my home and decided not to go back. Why? Just because, I don't know, I think I wasn't ready for that commitment that we were obviously heading into, that we already had. I wanted to, I guess, I don't know, do a little more exploring. And when I got back, I instantly became sexually active with 5 guys in this month period since coming back. And it's not like I feel connected to any of them, but I am just really, I guess, I don't know, feeling like a very sexual person. And now, in the next month, I am going back to the country, back to Spain, to see if I can reevaluate my relationship with my significant other, who I have the civil union with, see if we can start back again. And I don't know how to explain to him, or if I should explain to him, like, if I was in sexual relationships with other guys and that I didn't feel like connected with them. I don't know if I should tell him this, or should I take this meeting as a new time to start everything over? I don't know.
We know what you were doing. You know what you were doing over the last 7 months after you came home from Spain. You were sitting on all the dicks. Well, just 5 of the dicks, but let's just, for sake of argument, call it all the dicks. You're sitting on all the dicks. We don't know, and you don't know what he was doing. I can't imagine, with his civil union partner having decamped for the United States and having 7 months ago decided she may or may not be returning anytime soon, that he's been chased this entire time, unless you locked him in a pretty severe cock cage right before you left. I can't imagine that he's been not having his dick sat upon, perhaps by as many people as you have sat upon. So go back and keep your mouth shut and just run with the assumption that he was sexually active in your absence, as he should assume that you were sexually active in his absence. You don't mention any conversations you had with him. You didn't leave a callback number, so I can't call you back. You didn't mention any conversations you had with him about whether you were broken up, whether you were taking a break, whether you had a future or didn't have a future. And I'm just going to assume that as soon as you went home and you said, I don't know if I'm coming back, I'm going back to school, I have no return ticket, and the months ticked by, that he wasn't sitting by the window with one little candle looking up the street waiting for you to appear on the cobblestones in Madrid or wherever the fuck. That he was getting on with his life just like you were getting on all the decks with your life. So run with that assumption. Go back, see him. See if you're both still the same people. See if you want to be together. And if you establish after those first meetings that you indeed would like to, both of you would like to pick things back up where you left them off, at some point you may or may not have a conversation about what exactly filled all those months while you were apart. And that may be a conversation that you have, but again, and I want to emphasize this, it may be a conversation that you never have. Some people just don't want to know. Some people take a DADT approach, that's don't ask, don't tell, to a separation, to a trial separation, to a long-distance relationship of 6 months or a year or more. Just whatever happened, and it's in the past, and we don't need to terrorize each other with mental images or stoke insecurities that right now lay dormant but could be brought to life with TMI. So assess where you're at when you know where you're at, and at some point down the road you will have a conversation about all the dicks you sat on in his absence, and maybe he'll tell you about all the pussy he dove into in yours, or maybe the fuck not. Maybe this will just be something private about your life, something that was just for you, a zone of erotic autonomy. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. Their boxes can be delivered to 99% of the continental U.S. and 99.5% of food deserts. Cooking together builds strong family bonds, and research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often. And even idiots who don't cook or can't cook can make Blue Apron with their easy step-by-step recipes. Terry was laid low by the flu that's laying so many people low last week. And I, who do not cook, I, who cannot make toast or boil water, made 3 different Blue Apron meals, and they were each a success. So if I can do it, you can do it. And besides that great feeling you get, besides that feeling of being a smug, liberal, coastal elitist, when you get your Blue Apron box, it's also, again, incredibly delicious and stretches the boundaries of what we would normally cook at our house. So check out what's available this month. Spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and furikake, pork chops and garlic piccata with scallion rice and spinach, and mushroom and chipotle pepper enchiladas with lime sour cream. Can you even deal with that? And even better, get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/savage. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so do not wait. That's blueapron.com/savage. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Hey, Dan. Single, 32 here in Seattle. Wondering if I should have sex with the guy that I met and really like, and it's going really well, but he's still legally married and officially separated. I'm having a little bit of a hard time. He's not lying about being married or anything. We have mutual friends, but I was just kind of unsettled by him not being legally divorced.
Go ahead and fuck the guy. You say that you know for sure through mutual friends that he is legally married, and hopefully through these same mutual friends you know that he is actually separated, and actually the divorce is in the offing. Some people say that they're separated, some people say that they're getting a divorce, some men do, some women do, and they are lying to the person that they're fucking, or the person they would like to fuck. They're telling that person what they think that person needs to hear before dropping their trousers or lifting their skirts or whatever the fuck they happen to be wearing at the time. If you know that this is not the case here, if you know that he is indeed separated from his wife and that they are divorcing, and hopefully it's amicable, and if not amicable, hopefully it's civil and constructive, go ahead and fuck the guy. You knew that's what I was going to say. I assume you listened to the podcast. You must have listened to the podcast. You can't call the podcast if you don't listen to the podcast. And you've heard me sign off on sleeping with people who are actively cheating on their partners, because there are circumstances in which I think people have grounds to cheat. There are circumstances under which I think cheating is the least worst option. There are even some circumstances where cheating is the most loving and responsible and loyal and honorable thing to do. There's some outraged callback bait for you. So definitely this passes. This passes muster, and you knew it would pass muster with me, which is why you called me, because you wanted permission to go fuck the shit out of this still technically legally married guy. And you got it, of course, with the caveat that you know for sure through these mutual friends that he is indeed separated and that they are headed to divorce. Looking to make a resolution for New Year's that you'll actually keep and benefit from keeping? Well, we've got an easy one for you to maximize every minute and dollar for your small business. There's an easy way to do that, an easy resolution to get on and get with Stamps.com. Think about how much time you've wasted over the years going to the post office. Drive there, find parking, wait in line. Stamps.com is the better way to get postage. Just use what you already have at home, your computer and your printer, to get official U.S. postage for any letter or package. Then the mailman picks it up at your door. With Stamps.com, everything you would do at the post office you can do right from your desk and at a fraction of the cost of one of those expensive postage meters. Right now, sign up for Stamps.com and use my last name, Savage, for this special offer, a 4-week trial plus $110 bonus offer, including postage and a digital scale. Don't wait. It's a new year. Get on it. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Savage. That's Stamps.com, click the mic, and enter Savage.
Hey, Dan. I'm a tech-savvy at-risk youth in Chicago, and I've got 2 questions, one sexual, one political. First off, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I'm pretty sure from past reviews that my cum tastes terrible after I've had insulin, which is, always as a type 1 diabetic. So if you know of any doctors who could recommend me some stuff without me having to look them in the face, that'd be wonderful. Second, in light of the recent political unpleasantness, I was wondering if you could provide some starter kit type suggestions to left-leaning political action. There's a lot of people who are like, yeah, run for school board, but I don't have children and I don't know how to run for a thing or if I should. So I figured you'd be a good place to go to because you're a leftist and you're not a politico, so maybe you could have some useful information.
Joining me by phone to help field this question, Angel Padilla, a former congressional staffer from the Indivisible team, one of the co-authors of Indivisible, which I'm not going to attempt to describe here. I'm going to ask Angel to describe it. Hey, Angel, how are you?
Good, how are you?
So tell the folks out there who have not yet heard what Indivisible is.
So Indivisible is basically, it's a guide to how to make your member of Congress listen to you, and hopefully, using this guide, stop the racist, corrupt Trump agenda that we're already dealing with. So best practices to deal with your member of Congress.
And it came out shortly after the election, and it really landed with a boom, just a thunderclap. And it's elicited a tremendous response, and there are now Indivisible chapters that have sprung up all over the country. And ironically, the recommendations here on how to combat the Trump agenda, it's all grounded in modeling the left's response on the Tea Party's response to the election of Barack Obama in 2008.
Yeah, so I think what we sort of realize is that, we are in a better position now than Republicans and the Tea Party were in 2009. So if they were able to stop the Obama agenda, then we should be able to stop the Trump agenda. We're in a better position, a stronger position, and we can win.
And better position, evidence of that, Trump's approval rating right now, like 36, 37%. Obama came in with an approval rating in the high 60s, and yet the Tea Party got out there and really ground the Obama agenda to a halt in a couple of years. And you guys are arguing in Indivisible, and I encourage everyone to Google it, to get online, to read it, arguing that leftists have to model their response on the Tea Party response, which was all about getting in the faces of individual members of Congress and individual senators in your home states. Can you run us through how you do that? Run us through some of the recommendations from Indivisible. We're really answering the second half of this guy's question first, the half about a starter kit for left-leaning political action. And I just want you to do the brief download, the Reader's Digest version for listeners, and then you will help me tackle the first part of this question.
Yeah, so it's basically two big strategies. The first one is be local, act local, right? Don't worry about what's happening in D.C. Don't worry about what a reconciliation vote is. Don't worry about what a motion to recommit is. Really go to your member's office, make them listen to you, right? Go to the district office. Everyone has a district office or a regional office, and that's what matters. Go down to an event that they're at and make sure that they listen to you. And the second thing is, there are a lot of reasons to oppose this Trump agenda, so we all have to stick together and say no. Just say no to everything, and we're already seeing this work, right? The last week, 2 weeks, we've seen Republicans try to pass something, and because of the overwhelming opposition, they've had to stop or they've had to adjust their plan.
So one of the things that is a problem for, the lefties who listen to my show is a lot of them are going to be living in big cities that are represented by liberals and progressives. You look at cities and they voted overwhelmingly for Clinton. Cities aren't sending conservative Republicans to Congress. And, most of the people representing most of my listeners are already going to be hopefully on the right side of this issue. So if you live in a Seattle or a Chicago or New York or a Los Angeles or a Madison, are you off the hook? Do you not need to get in the face of your Congress members and senators?
No, and that's the key, right? You're not off the hook, and neither is your member of Congress. Great that they're good on your issues, right? If you have a nice progressive Democrat that's representing you, don't let them sit on the sidelines, right? You have to make sure that they continue fighting for your issues. And there's a tendency, like you might have like a really good Democrat, but they might just feel like, oh, you know what, Republicans are just going to screw this up, so I'm going to sit on the sidelines. I'm not going to, put in the extra effort. Well, they need to be fighting for you. And so you need to be in their face, making sure that they don't cave on your issues.
And making sure that they, again, fight, that just being in opposition isn't good enough. They need to be in vocal opposition. Need to be using every parliamentary maneuver they can to block the Trump agenda.
Yeah, and so just to give you like two quick examples, some of, I'm from California, I'm from California originally, and so Dianne Feinstein is a senator from California, but so many times I hear, Dianne Feinstein is like thinking about negotiating on some of these issues, or she's not as good as she should be. Well, if she's from California, one of the bluest states in the country, there's no reason why your senators should be negotiating away your rights.
So you're going to get in Dianne Feinstein's face yourself.
You should get into whoever your member is, get into their face.
Now, what about a friend of mine was just asking when I told him I would be talking to one of the guys from the Indivisible team. What about, you guys recommend don't call somebody else's representative, don't call some Congress member who isn't your representative because they don't care what you have to think. They don't represent you. Those calls, those letters go right in the bin. What about calling somebody and lying to them and saying that you're a constituent when you're not?
What's really interesting is when I worked on the Hill, you always had a sense that someone was actually from the district. You learn little things, right? Like if you the zip code and the area code. So if you get a call and it's the right area code, you automatically think, oh, this is actually a constituent.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also taught from the beginning to be sort of cautious about what you say because someone might be trying to fool you. Right. That's why we think it's so important to actually go down to the district office where there's no doubt there, right? If you're down in the district office, they know you live there, they know that you're the constituent.
And also to go to town hall meetings, that a lot of members of Congress and senators have town hall meetings back in their home states, back in their home districts. And we all saw those videos in 2009, 2010 of Tea Party activists crowding into those meetings and shouting down their members of Congress and getting in their faces. And now we on the left, we need to borrow that tactic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so there's all over the press today, they're referencing this big Speaker Ryan town hall with CNN. And, that's great if Speaker Ryan is your representative, but really every member of Congress thinking about voting to repeal the ACA or thinking about voting in favor to confirm Jeff Sessions, they should be having town halls to explain to their constituents why they're doing that, right? And if they do have any public event, then you need to go out there and you need to ask them questions. Why are they voting to, take away people's health care? Why are they voting to, end women's health rights? Those are the kinds of things you need to do.
People might not feel comfortable doing that all on their own, and they don't have to do it on their own. That's one of the things that Indivisible has helped to create all across the country are these chapters. People are meeting up. People are, making new left-leaning, politically active friends so that they don't have to show up at a town hall meeting by themselves, so that they can go with a posse. And people are having letter-writing parties and phone-calling parties, and there's a social aspect to this as well, and building a community of leftists and progressive. We always talk on the left how we don't have anything like the churches on the right, all these conservative evangelical churches all over the country that are, not politically neutral, are in the hip pocket of the Republican Party and the GOP, and activate and motivate voters and screamers and yellers. And we don't have that on the left. And one of the things that Indivisible is helping to create is that infrastructure on the left. Can you tell us about these chapters, how people are starting them, why people are starting them, and how people can get involved in starting one?
Yeah, and what was really great to see is that we didn't start any of this. There were already groups that were forming. They were getting together, friends and neighbors all over the country, just getting together to talk about what they could do to stop what they knew was coming, right? What they knew was coming under Trump. But we, now that we're seeing all these groups all over the country, we thought it would be very useful to have a directory. So we've created a directory on our website, right, indivisibleguide.com, where if you are interested in finding your own group, you can go onto our website, you can search by zip code or address to find if there's a group near you. And if there isn't, you can start one, you can register, and then maybe, you can grow out your own little group.
All right, let's talk about the caller's first question. He has type 1 diabetes and he has heard tastes terrible. What do you recommend that he do about that?
What do I think you should do? I have no idea. For pineapple juice?
Yeah, that's the old wives' tale. Drink a lot of pineapple juice and your cum will taste good. You actually have to pour the pineapple juice over your dick while someone is sucking it for it to have any impact on the taste of your semen. Drink a lot of water, eat a lot of fresh vegetables, don't subsist on a diet of fast food, cigarettes, and Diet Coke, and all of your bodily fluids will taste better. But, if your medicines are having a terrible impact on the taste of your semen, which can happen, there's not a lot you can do about that except offer the person a mint after. Unfortunately. There are no meds to counteract that. That's just not something that the Centers for Disease Control is going to prioritize around treatment options. Pills to make your cum taste better, I'm sorry to say. Angel, you got anything to add to that? Any tips of your own?
No, just come to our website and you can find more information. And
not about making your cum taste better. More information about fighting the Trump agenda.
Yeah, no, it's just one last thing I'd want to say is we've gotten so many volunteers that have wanted to help, and we're really grateful to all of them. But really, just go to our website, try to get more information, and start your own group. And
the website again is
indivisibleguide.com.
Indivisibleguide.com. If you have not read this pamphlet yet, what do you call it? A pamphlet? A dossier? What do you guys call it in-house?
It's just a guide, but what's great is that all these other groups have created their own little pamphlets and reduced versions of it or expanded on it. It's great.
So go read it if you have not yet read it. It is a really important document. We're going to look back on what you guys did, what the guys, all of you from the Indivisible team did in creating it. And we're going to mark that as one of the things that helped stem the tide, turn the tide in battling the Trump agenda. Angel Padilla, thank you so much for jumping on the phone.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Dan, I love your show. So I had this thing that happened last night where I woke up to being smacked in the back by the guy I recently started seeing. According to him, it was out of fear in a dream where I turned into a demon, which is what all girls want to hear. After questioning him about it, he seemed concerned and sorry. His story was generally plausible with a few holes. So, I don't know, there was this thing about his girlfriend that he maybe did it to in the past, but it wasn't clear. For backstory, we met a couple weeks ago on a kink app, and I've been really nuts about him despite our 27-year age gap. Seeing as we met on a kink site, how do I know he's not expressing an undisclosed, sadist fantasy? How should I proceed if I genuinely want to keep seeing this mostly lovely and kind man?
Sexomnia is a real thing, and I suppose for some people, slapping on the ass could be a form of sexomnia. I am concerned, however, about the story, the generally plausible account that he offered you with the holes in it. In this circumstance, irrespective of meeting on a kink site, irrespective of whatever fetishes you two have already talked about or copped to in your initial meetings, I'm really concerned that somebody assaulted you in the middle of the night in your sleep, consciously or unconsciously, and they weren't able to discuss this with you in a completely plausible way. You should be very concerned. That is a Mayday red flag. That is a tank rolling through Red Square waving a red flag, red flag. You can, if you wish, of course, you can do whatever the fuck you want. If you wish, you can give him another chance. You can continue to hang out with him. I would watch the fuck out for this or anything like this happening again. Watch the fuck out for another explanation, for another unexplained moment of physical discomfort being inflicted upon you in a non-consensual fashion where the explanation he offers you isn't plausible, isn't entirely 100% plausible. It shouldn't happen again at all, ever, period. But I imagine that if this is indeed a problem, if this is the red flag that I heard it as, and I'm sure many listeners heard it as, that this might happen again. This was likely to happen again. And if there is another bullshit explanation, chock full of holes, you need to end it. I would, in your shoes, end it now because of the holes. And I would tell him, I'm ending this now because I'm not satisfied with the explanation you offered me for assaulting me in the middle of the night in that completely batshit way. So I want a full explanation that is completely plausible and hole-free, a seamless fucking garment of an explanation, or I'm out. I doubt you'll get one because something's up here. And the only question that I have for you is, how long are you going to stick around before you figure out exactly what it is that's up? And my only question for you is it worth it to stick around long enough to figure out exactly what is up with him, if it means enduring another incident or more incidents like this one.
Hey, Dan. My name's Carrie, straight girl calling from the East Coast in response to episode 533 with a woman who has become uncomfortable with the word pussy. I would like to suggest maybe thinking about using the word muff. Muff is pretty and sexy, I think, and a nice term for that area.
I would like to suggest the term minge. Minge. Frothy, sopping, minge.
You should never call a vagina a vajayjay. It's so childish. It's terrible. Not sexy. No. Call it a yoni. Where power comes from.
What's wrong with lady parts? I always like that one.
I would love to throw snatch into the ring. My boyfriend and I refer to my snug little snatch, and it can be playful. It can be sexy. No matter what, it's always a turn on.
How about quim? It's Chaucer.
I always preferred coochie. How about kitty?
In Cuba, the word papaya is slang for vagina.
Fanny.
Cunny.
Hoo-ha.
Vag.
Tinkle fanny.
Maybe she could just pick a name like Carla.
Unfortunately, I know that the German equivalent for pussy is Mutterscheibe, which means mother slit, or even more horrifying, Mutti-Scheibe, which means mummy slit. Be glad you have cunt.
I'm not going to suggest a new word for her to use in place of pussy, but I will encourage her to feel empowered to take the word back. That is our word. That is not his word. Do not let him take it from you. He's waging war against our reproductive freedom, and he's not allowed to take the word pussy from us on top of it. Donate to Planned Parenthood. Take your word back. Let it get you wetter than ever. Fuck Donald Trump.
And we're going to leave it there. 206-302-2064 is the number here at the Savage Lovecast. If you want to record a question or a comment for a future show, please give us a buzz. 206-302-2064. Follow Mike Pesca on Twitter at Pescami. That's P-E-S-C-A-M-I. Follow Kurt Eichenwald on Twitter at Kurt Eichenwald. And follow the Indivisible Guide team on Twitter at Indivisible Team. Read Savage Love, my sex advice column, every week in the Minneapolis City pages and other newspapers all across the country. And go to humpfilmfest.com for information about my amateur porn film festival now touring the country. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian and me and the tech-savvy at-risk youth. And Nancy, we'll all be back at you next week with an installment of the Savage Lovecast. Thanks for downloading.